Read strong.
Bill summary.
Any other questions? Thank you, Senator.
Thank you for the
Joanne
opportunity.
Peterson. Oops. Sorry. Joanne Peterson, DMV.
This is still valid.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, for the record, Joanne Peterson. Senator Simmons has pretty well explained the bill. I'll just briefly state the impact on the division is going to be primarily in the areas of returning transactions which are submitted late and do not have the penalty fees with them, or in determining the date of sale on those transactions which are, and vehicle owners of the new penalty provision, so they are aware of it. The bill will increase division expenditures. However, we expect that these expenditures will be offset by revenues produced by the penalty fee. We are in the process of revising our analysis based on the changes in the being gross bill.
Any questions of Joanne?
Any questions?
What are we on?
We're on Senate Bill 126.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Joanne.
if I might, in answer to Representative Hayden's question, snowmobiles are required to be titled and registered even though they are not used on the highways. And they are subject to the title transfer provisions.
Joanne, how would you notify? I mean, it's easy to notify the dealers. They're dealing with this every day. What about vehicle owners?
Madam Chair, we're anticipating sending notices with renewal reminder notices, which don't involve, that transaction doesn't involve the sale of the vehicle, but we do anticipate being able to notify owners up front that if they purchase a vehicle that it will require it. We also plan on using other public information sources to get the word out. The bill does not, that it only impacts sales which occur after the effective date of the act. So, you know, people who haven't, you know, are already beyond the 30 days now aren't going to be impacted by it unless the sale occurs after January 1.
Have you found this, and I'm sorry you made a mention, have you found this to be the major problem that Senator Simmons has kind of suggested it is?
Madam Chair, title transfers are definitely a problem. We frequently get transactions where they have gone through several owners. We know that our users, such as tow companies and others, have abandoned vehicles and they're trying to find out who owns the vehicles, and our records do not reflect the current status because the titles haven't been transferred.
Madam Chair,
Representative Woody.
when the owner sells a vehicle, is there a little thing, there's a little deal that you tear off when you're the person owning the car and you sell it that you send in, isn't there?
Madam Chair, Representative Whitty, no, there isn't. There used to be a number of years ago.
There used to be, okay, because I know I used one at some time along the line.
You
I
can.
sent it in, and now there isn't one, right?
Correct. What we found with that process, that we received many of them right after the title was issued. The current owner would send it in thinking he was supposed to send it to us, or in a lot of cases the notice reached us after the title was already transferred. The ones that it seemed like the ones that were sending the notice in were the ones that the purchasers were also following through and transferring title, and there were a lot of problems with that situation.
Madam Chair,
Representative Woody.
twice now in the last 3 years, I've sold vehicles to private parties and they didn't transfer the title until I got to myself at home with notice that it had to be re-registered. And then I called them and said, transfer the title because you're not going to be able to drive the vehicle because it won't be licensed. And that's how it got transferred. In one case, it was 1.5 years. So I guess there is a problem. Didn't make me very happy, I know that.
Any other questions of Joanne? It's not. Thank you.
This will dodge your insurance.
Pardon?
They can judge their
Sure they can.
insurance. They're running on you.
Is there anyone else that wanted to testify on Senate Bill 126? Then I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 126 and we'll go into work session.
You wanna move?
Whatever.
Okay.
Representative-
I move Senate Bill 126 to the floor with a due pass.
Representative Brajati moves B. Engross Senate Bill 126 to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Is there any discussion? Who that would volunteer to carry this one?
Sure.
You-
Not me.
Well,
Okay.
you
No.
you're the dealer.
Um,
Oh, I'll do it.
I've gone, I don't want anything that smacks of what I did the other day out there, forget it. I already did my thing
Representative Brajati will
with the
carry
parking
this.
meter.
I'll carry it.
Good.
I'm a
Okay,
good
let's
boy.
see. We've finished all our public hearing now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, work session on 110, we're not gonna do that because that is tied to 213 and we've gotta work that out, so we're gonna hold off on that. We'll go into work session on Senate Bill 113. Claudia?
Did you do 4?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Yes, I held
We're not
on.
gonna do
I hate to
110,
keep
did you
giving
say?
you all those.
No.
Did you wanna?
Oh, I don't
okay.
care about
Claudia, before you get started, Representative Brajati would like the committee's approval to be noted in voting yes on SJM 4.
Right.
You guys listening?
Yeah, he said. That he-
Is there any objection to letting the record show that Representative Brajati voted yes on SJM 4? Okay. And you said you wanted to carry that one?
Oh, I don't care.
Is that what you just said?
That's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, and Representative Brajati will carry the bill. Claudia, now back to 113.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, for the record, I am Claudia Howells, the administrator for the Joint Subcommittee on the Revision of the Motor Vehicle Code. We're on SB 113. Trying to get confused. SB 113 was a bill that was before you a couple of weeks ago, and it was held over to resolve an issue involving the deletion of the exemption from registration and titling for fire wagons and fire engines. The committee asked me to meet with representatives from the fire department, specifically the city of Portland, who were concerned about that provision. And I did so, and you should have in your folders copies of proposed amendments that change the wording from fire wagons to fire engines, more appropriately describe the vehicles that the fire departments use, and retain the exemption for those vehicles. In addition, just so you know, I contacted the 2 private fire companies in the state, which are the Valley Fire Service and the Grants Pass Rural Fire Department, both in Josephine County, and talked to the fire chiefs of those 2 small departments. That was because if you look at the wording in the proposed amendments, it is emergency fire apparatus providing public fire protection. And I contacted those 2 departments to see first if they register and title their vehicles now, and if they in fact provide what would be called public fire protection, even though they are privately funded. They do provide what is called public fire protection. They are the only fire department in their areas, and they respond to all calls. And they are currently not registering their vehicles since they believe, as does the Motor Vehicles Division, that their vehicles are exempt as are publicly owned fire wagons and fire engines. Those 2 departments would like to be treated the same way as the publicly owned ones, since they believe they provide the same kind of service. The amendments, as I said, call them emergency fire apparatus providing public fire protection. And That was the mission I was given, and those were the only two questions in Senate Bill 113 that were left unresolved.
So, Claudia, if in fact we wanted to deal with those two, are you saying we'd have to change the amendments to take public out, or,
No.
or the amendments
They're-
deal with
they're
them?
fine. The
Okay.
amendments as they're drafted. Oh, I
Okay.
might also comment, I believe that the representatives from the Portland Fire Department gave, I think you have pictures and I think a letter.
Mhm.
The pictures are, according to them, are to show that there is no place on the back of their engines to mount a registration plate.
That is interesting because there is a license plate on the back of this fire truck. The picture shows right there. It's a little license registration.
42553.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I put a license plate off of an automobile to show how the license plates were not able to really be seen adequately. They're supposed to be in plain sight, and they're hidden in all four of those pictures. Those are four separate fire apparatus that are typical of a lot of ours with a license plate that doesn't belong on them. But I put it on there to show where a license plate would be if we had it mounted on there and how difficult it would be to read the numbers. They're not legal license plates, and there'd be no place to put a license plate. Thank you.
I'd just like to know who the two models are. Okay. You remember that we had in fact
More electrical than the ones in my pickup.
asked staff, and in fact had approved in concept, I suppose, to draft these amendments to deal with the fire apparatus exemptions. So, Representative Harper.
Well, to get us on with it, I will move that we adopt amendments 11, Senate Bill 113-A-2,
I know, okay, that's fine.
dated 5/23.
Representative Harper moves that we amend A and Gross Senate Bill 113 with Legislative Council Amendments 113A-2. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Motion carried. Did you move the bill?
Yeah,
Rep-
I move we send A and Gross Senate Bill 113 as amended to the floor.
Representative Harper moves we send A and Gross 113 as amended to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Is there any discussion? Any objection? So, would you carry this one?
Yeah.
Representative Harper will carry the bill. Okay, Senate Bill 114, Claudia.
Senate Bill 114 is a bill that your committee passed out and sent to the floor, and between the time the bill had gone from the committee to the floor, it suddenly developed conflicts with Senate Bill 30, which came out of Ways and Means at about the same time. Council asked that Senate Bill 114 be used as the bill to carry the conflict amendments, since Senate Bill 30 was wrapped up in some other bills, and as you all know, we're having quite a time keeping up with the conflict amendments, not only with Senate Bill 100, that's already law, but with some of the other bills that are beginning to pass simultaneously.
We already passed.
And some of the bills are easier to put conflicts in than others. So you have in your folders proposed conflict amendments to A and Gross Senate Bill 114.
That's fine.
Okay, we have amendments, and they are the -5 amendments.
Oh,
So
that's what
moved.
this means.
Representative Harper moves that we amend Senate Bill 114A engrossed with the amendments 114A-5. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, just occurs to me, aren't these amendments nothing more than conflict amendments?
These are conflict amendments, right?
Doesn't change the body of the bill.
No, and in fact, we had already sent this bill to the floor, right? Okay. Any further discussion? Any objection? So ordered. Did you want to move forward to the floor?
Yeah.
Okay, Representative,
We did before.
well, I have Brajati down. as the carrier of this one. Representative Harper moves Senate Bill 114A engrossed as amended to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Okay, motion carries. You said you would carry this one? Okay, Representative Harper will carry this one.
Last one I carried, you want to remember, only passed by 2 votes.
That's
so
okay, as long as you
you wanna-
pass.
Watch it.
Okay, Claudia, 124.
Senate Bill 124 is also a bill that passed from committee and at the request of the chair has been brought back before you. This bill provides for DMV to adopt rules to allow for permissive titling. Rather late in the process, it came to everyone's attention that the bill was not drafted to make it specific that the titling had to be done at the request of the owner. You have amendments before you that make that clear. It was never DMV's intent to do otherwise. You also have a hand-engrossed bill showing where that language would be changed, and council rearranged the wording to make it a little easier to read with the additional changes in section 2. And those are the only changes made to the bill.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and in section 6 of the bill, which is the permissive registration
120
provision.
What'd you do? Is this?
We did lots since you were going to represent. We gave them all to you.
Oh, good. Where's this?
Okay, this is the one that we had sent out that allows for permissive titling.
Happened if we did the same thing.
Oh.
And
That's what-
would give DMV rulemaking authority.
I took it out, so they told me.
You want the picture?
No. Is there a motion to amend the bill? The question came up after we had sent it out that it wasn't quite clear that this was at the request of the owner, and that's what these amendments do. Is there a motion to amend the bill?
So moved.
Representative Whitty moves that we amend Senate Bill 124 with the Legislative Council amendments 124A-2. Is there any discussion? Any objection? So ordered. Representative Whitty, would you like to move the bill to the
I
floor?
move the bill.
Representative Whitty moves Senate Bill 124 to the floor with a due pass recommendation as amended. Is there any discussion? I think you voted no on this last time, Cindy. I think it did. And any objection to sending it to the floor? Okay. Representative Whitty, would you mind carrying it?
Sure.
Okay. All right, moving right along. Senate Bill 133.
Senate Bill 133 is another bill that the committee has already heard and passed out. This was a rather unfortunate incident. This was a bill that we kind of goofed on. This was a bill that came out early in the Senate, from the Senate, and was in a time when council and I were still trying to stumble through how we were going to do conflict, and we missed the conflict, the Senate Bill 100 and this bill, and they are rather necessary. And so what you have before you, it says proposed amendments, and I'll explain why. The section 428 was so drastically rewritten in Senate Bill 100 that there had to be quite a bit done, and they were not conflict amendments in the normal description of what conflict amendments are. They retain the original substance of Senate Bill 133.
Okay, and this is the bill that deals with the terms registered owner and legal owner. Is there any discussion?
I'm not clear. What do these amendments do besides that?
Besides conflict,
Well,
Representative
besides
Harper.
straighten out who's registered and who's a legal owner.
that is all the bill does. It gets rid of the old terms legal and registered owner and talks about owner, security interest, owner, security interest holder, or leaseor.
But, okay, but what do the conflict amendments do?
The conflict amendments, let me see, I'll try to explain it. Section 428 in the bill was a section that was majorly rewritten by Senate Bill 100 to put in the provisions of Senate Bill 133 into Section 428. In fact, to carry over what was done in the original bill. That section had to be considerably modified from what the original bill looked like. It carried through the same provisions, but because council felt that the rewrite was major enough, they were reluctant to identify them as conflict amendments. They, in fact, are conflict amendments. I don't know if that's clear. It was rather confusing to me, too. And the only thing I can say is if you look at Section 6 of the printed bill, and then look at the amendments, you'll notice that it looks quite a bit different, even though the changes are basically the same. The content of the changes.
So are you saying that what the amendments merely do is rewrite this particular section in the new language or something to accomplish the same thing?
Yes. Perhaps to explain a little more fully, Madam Chair, this particular section was amended pretty heavily last session. That what that section did was amended last session. And so Senate Bill 100 picked up those changes. And when we went to put the amendments from Senate Bill 133 into that section, we had to change quite a bit of it because the term legal owner and owner or person entitled to possession had been repeated a number of more times in the new Section 428 than was in the original Section 428 in House Bill 2031.
In summary, the bill deals with registered and legal owner and also with the leaseor or security interest holder of a car to be junked. Is that fair to say?
Madam Chair, Representative Harper, yes.
Got your floor speech already. Is there a motion?
I move the adoption of Senate Bill 133-2 amendment.
Okay, Representative Harper moves that we amend English Senate Bill 133 with Legislative Council Amendments 133-2. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Okay. Representative Harper, would you like to move the bill to the floor?
I'll move the bill to the
Representative Harper moves Senate Bill 133A as amended to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Representative Banzer, would you carry this one? Sure. I think once it's amended, that it becomes a very simple bill, actually.
Yes.
It's just understanding
Is that
what
what
the
she's getting at?
No,
I'm glad she's got it. It's simple to me.
Nice.
no. One, Senate Bill 214.
I just had to say
It comes up on a Friday
Madam Chair.
afternoon, you've got no song.
Yeah.
right.
Members of the committee, Senate Bill 214 is a bill you've never seen before, unlike all the rest of them that you've seen. Senate Bill 214 is a bill that was introduced at the request of the Department of Transportation, specifically the Motor Vehicles Division. It makes some changes relating to title applications, transfers of titles, and other vehicle-related activities that they perform. It makes clear what information is required on the title. You can see that in Section 1 of the bill. What procedures are followed to transfer a title or to obtain a replacement. and that is in section 2 of the bill, and what procedures are followed when the transfer involves certain non-probated estates. And that's in, I'll go back and find it, section 4, which is a very long section. And finally, it makes some reference changes in ORS 114545, which is section 5 of the bill. It had conflict amendments added in the Senate, and other than that, there were no other changes made except for a couple of typos that were in the original bill.
Madam Chair,
Representative Roberts.
did I hear you correctly? Did you say we need conflict amendments, or they were added in the Senate?
No, they were added in the Senate. This
Thank
bill
you.
does not require conflict amendments. Thank
Okay,
you.
I just didn't hear it correctly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Is there a motion on Senate Bill 214?
I just move, Madam Chair.
Representative Roberts moves that we send A. Engross 214 to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Representative Hayden, would you carry this one?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yo. Thank you, Claudia.
Representative Whitty informed me when I came back, you signed all the bills that passed while I wasn't here to me to carry, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
I told him he wasn't getting any because he was gone, and I wasn't too happy with it.
Oh, thank God, I thought I had...
He's got, I'm not sure, I'm just gonna, okay. 2326.
I think I picked up about 10.
We've got
You
two,
need the exercise.
Yeah, right. My voice is good.
okay. Steve, 2326.
Okay, this bill was introduced at the request of the Oregon Bankers Association. Oh, I'm sure. And the amendments you have before you are those ones we're working from. The bill is no longer, of any interest really. The bill has been gutted, and the amendments are the rewrite of the bill.
You're saying it's a gut and stuff.
Well, no,
No,
not really.
the intent has not changed. These amendments simply make the appropriate references to the code, whereas the original bill did not, and it really did not do what the requester originally wanted it to do. So what we did is had a work meeting last week, Representative Roberts, Madam Chair, and the sponsors of the bill, Motor Vehicles Division, Legislative Council, and myself met, and these are the amendments. I am not saying that there is any agreement amongst or consensus amongst the parties involved, that being the Bankers Association and Motor Vehicles Division, but this bill is clearly what the Bankers Association requested, okay?
Okay, Steve, tell us what the
Okay.
amendments do.
The amendments exempt those banks, and the definition occurs Section 3 is the new language, and that tells who is exempt from titling transfer requirements. Okay? And then it also goes further to say that what we're talking about is when these institutions go into merger, conversion, reorganization, or consolidation, and the security interest holder changes, they will not have to generate the paper and notify GMV with regard to all these titles that would be transferred during the course of them merging or converging or reorganizing with another institution of a like nature. That basically is what the bill does.
We do have someone here to answer this question.
There is Joanne Peterson from Motor Vehicles Division and Mr.
And Don
Fordyce
Fordyce.
from the bank.
Okay. Representative Whitty.
I think when Don testified before, he had one financial institution that would cost over $300,000, you said, in order to just do this.
55.
No,
Thing was-
Don, why don't you come up? And Joanne, why don't you come up?
I guess Madam Chair, I guess I'd ask these two, if they've come to agreement on the amendment?
I think, since there's a chair between them, I think not.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I'm Don Fordyce with U.S. Bancorp. I believe in answer to Representative Woody's question, the worst-case scenario would be a situation where U.S. National or First Interstate would change their names. First Interstate did that before this law was in effect, and in fact did not transfer the titles. If the law was in effect as it is today, and for some reason U.S. Bancorp or U.S. National Bank decided to change its name for any reason, or there was some kind of a purchase of U.S. Bancorp, it would cost the $350,000
That's what I thought you
and
said.
put 50,000 titles in DMV's hands if we were to follow the law. The interesting part is that there have been other banks purchased in the last couple of years by other institutions, for instance, the Oregon Bank, who elected just not to follow the statute. And no one objected to that. They were not hit with a Class A or Class C misdemeanor. So that, in fact, there is not compliance now in some instances. In the case of U.S. Bancorp, when we have changed names or were asked to purchase banks by the FDIC in a couple of cases.